I'm always curious to see and hear what you've learned in the other sessions, because I'm not there, so you can teach me. Huh? So somebody tell me, what did you learn in your previous session? Just tell me a sentence you learned from the previous. Yes, sir.
So using social media is a must, not a should, for churches and pastors.
Okay, a must, not a should. Very good. 72% of people who... Sir? Say again?
Your success depends upon your ladder hole.
Oh, I like you, I like you, I like you. You got bonus points for that one. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Just speak, just saying that. Ain't nothing coming your way, just saying that. Yes. Somebody else, what do you learn in your class? Yes.
Prophetic preaching must be done with God's heart in mind.
Prophetic preaching must be done with God's heart in mind. Okay? Very good. Somebody else. What did you learn? Yes, sir.
We must have a reason for why we sing. The appreciation. Like doing that.
The reason why we sing. I sing because I'm...
Could be happy.
It could be. And sometimes sing just because I'm sad. Because his eyes on the... Never mind. So somebody else. Yes.
In vision casting, people won't always do what you expect, but they will do what you are going to expect.
Okay. People don't always do... if you can move on in a little bit and bring some extra chairs in, some of the saints are still dragging in. So, yes. Okay. So people don't do what you expect, they do what you inspect. Okay, so you what's your inspection policy? See, that is why, can I just go ahead and start teaching now? So that is why I am not for annual evaluations. I don't like annual evaluations. In my organization, if you mess up today, okay, let's say it another way. How many of you ever had a dog for a pet? A dog, okay? Tell me, if your dog pees on the carpet, when do you correct the dog? Really? Are you serious? You mean you don't make a sticky note and put in the... You don't say, when I do an annual evaluation, I'm going to talk to him? You don't do that? Seriously? Wow. So when something goes awry, you correct it when? I call that, that's my theory. You won't read this in a book. This is my theory. I call that pee on the carpet. You deal with the dog and you deal with the pee. Or do you say, I'm going to come back in December and clean it up? When do you clean up the pee? Now, do you like doing that? You on your hands and knees and you spraying stuff into it and you mopping stuff. It leaves every time you pass by it, you might see a stain there. That's why, see, annual evaluations are to call people in and say to them what they did great and wonderful, set goals for next year, and do some strategic planning one-on-one. But if somebody is doing something that needs correction, don't wait till December to say, it was in March and you did not wear your dress right, or you were late 3 times in May. Who cares? That's pee on the carpet. It's already stained and the dog does not remember. Is that making sense to you? Yeah. So what got me started on that? Somebody said something. If people don't do what you expect, people do what you inspect, so you just correct. And then you don't have to be a historian. And then you don't have to go around reminding people what they did wrong. See, that is why people get all tensed up. You talk to employees, you say to them, well, this is evaluation week. Oh, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to say. Is that the atmosphere and culture you want in your house? Do you want people to be scared when they come that week? Do you want people to be talking behind your back saying, you know how she is? No, you don't want any of that. You want people to come and say, something, we're going to have an evaluation, we're going to put together goals for next year, we're going to see how I met those goals, how I can do better, we're going to have a strategic plan, because anything that was negative that needed to be corrected has already been done. Because the theory is called what? It is called... Now I want to ask that question again. That theory is called what? See, if you don't... Yeah. So when you leave from here, people say, so what did you learn in that class? You're going to say what? Thank you, thank you. Please do say that. Please do say that, because when you say that, people are going to look at you like, and then you can kind of put your own spin on it. You don't even tell them that I said it. You just put your own spin on it, and you're going to come across looking like, you know something? Wow, you're really deep. Now, if they start giving you money for it, come back to me. But if it is free, go ahead, dig deeper into it. Yeah. Okay, somebody else, what else do you learn in another class? This is good, this is good. Anybody else? Learn something in another class? Yes. How to bridge the gap between hip-hop and the modern day culture. Very good. I don't know if there's a bridge, but there is some kind of a water. You know, and you do that, you know, I think the only answer to that is you do that because you love the next generation. And you don't want to lose the next generation. You don't have to like it, but you love your children, your grandkids. You know, I'm still old school guy. And I don't mind hip-hop, I just don't understand it. My kids do. I don't understand. That's just my thing. However, if there's hip-hop, I say go for it, because that's not for me. That's for reaching the... I don't want to lose the next generation simply because I was a stick in the mud. You know, I still like Old Rugged Cross and Amazing Grace, but that's good too. I'm all for that. I wrote about that book, my book Futuring. I was at a church, People's Church, the oldest African-American church in the country, preaching for them in 1999. It's probably the church where I've had the most diversity in less than 5 minutes. This is old school, high church, pipe organ African-American church called People's Baptist Church, Boston. So we just sang, so I forget what anthem it was with the pipe organs playing. You know, when pipe, there's nothing replaces pipe organs. Pipe organs playing, and as soon as the pipe organs died, maybe 100 or so kids came in and did their thing, and which was backed up by 3 guys who did hip hop among the 3 of them. And I was just sitting there saying, now this is what the church ought to look like. This is what the church looks like. It's for something for everybody. Somebody else. What else did you learn before I jump into my stuff here? Yes, sir.
When someone comes and tell you something bad about the pastor, put your hand out of the
This man is asking for something. Yeah, I'm gonna take care of you. I'm gonna take care of you. And you, sir?
From the Right Division course, I took from there, if you think it, ink it.
If you think it, ink it. I like that. Hey, you ought to write that down. You're not even there. You're getting free stuff. If you think it, ink it. Rachel, can you write that down for me? If you think it, ink it. Who was the teacher there?
Well, I just came up with that, but currently was.
Okay, Kerwin Lee, huh? He taught it. Kerwin Lee is a good friend of mine right here from Atlanta. If you think it. This is my oldest daughter, Rachel. She is my executive assistant and my firstborn, and she makes my life go round and round, and thank God for her. All right. What I'm going to share with you today, it's not in a book yet. It may never be in a book. I don't know. So when my subject is discover and develop leaders, so the question becomes, once I've discovered them and I'm developing them, what are some of the issues I might face? So because you do only 3 things now. You do only 3 things. You discover, develop, deploy. Discover, develop, deploy. Discover, develop, deploy. Discover, develop, deploy. Good to see you, Marcus. Discover, develop, deploy. Discover, develop, deploy. Discover, develop, deploy. Everyone together what? Discover, develop, deploy. Discover. Number 2 is what? Develop. Number 3 is what? Deploy. Discover, develop, and then that's all you do. So if you are a leader in your church, I would say to you, your job description is 3 words. Just 3 words. The first is what? The second is what? Number 3 is what? Let's talk about that. So how do you discover who's gonna be the person who can help you along? So those of you who were in my class yesterday, and I talked about who's holding a ladder. When I talked about that, I talked about the 4 things. If you're not in that class, you can hear your neighbor talk about it right now. And because those are the genetic DNA's discovery, then I'm going to talk about development in just a moment. If you have a phone, that's okay. It's good to have a phone. Just put it on vibrate. Put it on vibrate. Not even silence. Put it on vibrate. And I'll tell you why. All of you have things going on. You got family. Anything can be happening anywhere. So don't silence it. Put it on vibrate. And when it vibrates, pick it up. Have you sat next to somebody and the phone is going off and they're looking like... So yeah. So feel free to get your calls. So just kick back and relax. So when you were in my class yesterday, we talked about 4 what I call genetic DNAs. That you've got to have the 4 qualities of the ladder holder. First is they got to be strong. And by that we mean they can handle... Whew, you all are amazing. I bet other classes cannot have students like this class has had. Okay, number 2 is they have to be... That means they learn quickly. Number 3 is that they are faithful. That means they have faith in your pastor. Number 4, they are loyal. And that means you can disagree with my head but not my... Very good, very good. So we have, that's the discovery component. That means these are people who have the it quality. Have you ever seen somebody who just has it? Okay, let me flip it over because that will make more sense. Have you ever seen somebody and you just met them, you don't like them? That means that they don't have the it. On the other hand, you can find people who you just meet them in a restaurant. And the server is serving you so well, and you say, if I had a business, I would hire her. So I go through airports, I go to the restaurant saying, I'd hire him, fire him. Hire her, fire her. Absolutely. Because people, either people have it or they don't have it. Now can I tell you something about it? You cannot teach it. You can learn it, but you can't teach it. Can someone tell me what's the difference between when I say the sentence you can learn it but you can't teach it? Somebody tell me what I just meant by that. It's innate. That means if you want it, you can go after it. But I cannot teach you it. You cannot read about it and learn. However, if you want to learn about it, you got to be around people who have it. Books that will teach you about. So you conferences and so on. So you can learn it. So learning is dependent on you. Teaching is dependent on the teacher. You see the difference there? See, that's the problem with our school system. I think we moved from learning to teaching. And so we have to teach you certain curriculum in order for you to, say, well, I've been through this grade. But the question is, so can Johnny read? I taught, but he didn't learn. And how many of you know it's not about teaching? Because in teaching, okay, let me talk about what I'm doing right now, where my mind is, where my philosophy is. And everything I'm saying to you, hopefully you can use it in your life, because this is not just about me, this is all of us. My emphasis is not on teaching today, or yesterday, or any day. Tomorrow I'm teaching at a coaching conference in Hampton, Georgia. Monday I'm in Birmingham. Tuesday I'm in Brazil. So, so it's not like, I'm never focusing on teaching. I'm always focusing on learning. Because when I'm teaching, when I'm focusing on teaching, I'm focusing on two things. Me and my material. Are you with me on that? When I'm focusing on learning, I'm focusing on you and what you're going to walk out of here with. So you notice that I keep doing reviews. Because I don't care what notes you take, because you have been to conferences before, you took a lot of notes and you never looked at them again. Am I telling the truth? I mean, you took good notes. I'm talking about good notes. And may I borrow this for a second? And you have notebooks like this, 3-ring binders, beautiful stuff. They're all stacked up somewhere. But you have never, ever cracked those notebooks again. So I'm not interested in what you write down. You can write down anything you want to, and I'm good with that. Please do write, because that's one way of learning. All I want to do is something to stick in your head. And then 3 months from now, something going on at work, and you think about pee on the carpet. That's all I'm interested in. I don't care what you wrote down. Is it making sense to you? So when I'm with you, when I was here yesterday, I'll repeat the same class. It'll come out different. Never comes out the same. Because what I'm teaching right now is not, I haven't even got to my notes yet. But there again, what I have to do is to cast the wave and surf it. I have to scratch where it is itching. So we discover that is where you have the it quality. If you don't have good genetics, how many of you like a good steak? How many of you like a good, nice filet mignon steak? How many of you know a good steak starts with a good cow? You can't get you can't get a good steak from a unhealthy, sickly, old cow. It all starts with a good cow. So if this brother has got the it, I can hire him for it and then train him. I'm going to teach about, I promised the class yesterday, I'm going to teach the difference in training and development just a little. So I can hire him for it. But then I can train him to do whatever. So we hire for attitude and we train for skill. We hire for attitude and we train for skill. If somebody got a good attitude and a low on their competency, I can train them. I can send them to school, I can get a mentor for them, I can get a coach for them, I can get books for them, I can get CDs and DVDs for them, I can get them an online program. I have all kinds of availability to me to train somebody. But I got to have a good cow to start with. Making sense? I mean, you can have cow, chicken, salmon, whatever comes to your mind. It's got to start with good DNA. You got to start with good genetics. So you hire for attitude and you train for skill. So that is the discovery component. The development component, deployment, is Jesus gave us a 4-step process for that. Can we talk about Jesus for a minute? I didn't talk about Jesus yesterday, and some of you are very upset I did not mention Jesus. So Jesus, I'm mentioning you right now. So even Jesus was upset you didn't tell them about me. So you all need to get saved, okay? Yeah. So Jesus had a number of ladder holders. We call them disciples. We concluded that yesterday. So disciples. So he did 4 things. Don't write this down. Don't write this down. Look at me. You can write in just a minute. Because see, you'll write it in a minute, and that will be teaching. I want you to do what? Learn. Okay, watch me. Jesus, disciples. Step number 1. 4 steps. Step number 1. I do it. You watch. Step number 2 is, let's do it together. Step number 3 is, you do it and I watch. Step number 4, I'm out of here. right. Don't write this down. 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 Do not write this down.
Thank you. Thank you. I said thank you.
Are we good? Let's do it. Step number 1 is I do it and you watch. Step number 2 is let's do it. Step number 3 is you do it. Step number 4 is yes.
My God.
Now, you want to write it down? Okay. Just a second. I'm going to give you 47 seconds to write it down. 1, 2, 3, go. Mississippi 1, Mississippi 2, Mississippi 3, Mississippi 4, 5, 6, and 7, and 8, and 9, and 10, and 11, and 12, and 13, and 14, and 15, and 16, and 17, and 18. Yes, all of that, 18, and 19, and 20, and 21, and 22, 23, 24, 25, 47. All right. Now I don't want to put a title on it. I know, I picked it up from Jesus, but I don't want to put a title on it because its application is universal. Okay? So whatever topic you put on top is going to define you. As soon as you define, you confine. So the title will confine it. I want to use it anywhere you want to. All right. So let's just say whoever's running your sound system at your church, let's just call him, what should we call him? What's his name? Larry? Okay, thank you, Larry. Larry's on your mind this morning, huh? Yeah. All right, Larry. So let's just say if Larry does not have anywhere to go, Larry's never going to develop anybody. He's never going to discover. So you say, well, they never make room for others because they won't do that because you got to make room for them to go. Can I say something to you? The best thing Jesus did for the church is to leave. Because he himself said what? Unless I go away, he cannot come. So unless Larry goes away, now he does not have to go outside the church, but nobody wants to get stuck doing sound systems for 28.5 years. So somebody's got to go to Larry and determine what are Larry's gifts. When Larry started doing it 18 years ago, he was very passionate about it. But now it's just another job for him. There's no enthusiasm in it. There is no energy in it. He does not wake up saying, yeah, I got to get to church. No, he just walks in there, flips a few things here, and goes to sleep, and you're on. Right? So what is church? Is it about Larry doing a job for the church, or is it the church's job to see what gifts and passions and talents that God has placed in Larry's life, and how can we be part of Larry's journey? How can we help Larry become a better Larry? How can we take Larry and move Larry higher to where he can leave from here saying, that was good. So I have to see what's going on with Larry. So let's just say Larry is interested in men's ministry. So I've got to go to Larry and I've got to talk to Larry about, hey, listen, you're doing great work. This is what I'd like for you to do. I'd like for you to discover, develop, and deploy somebody in the next 6 months. Because what I'd like for you to do is to help me in the men's ministry. So now he is excited about what? The men's ministry. So with that excitement, he is now looking for somebody. Are you following me? Otherwise, when you say to him, you're out of here, where did Larry go? And that is why people don't leave their positions in church, because they have nowhere to go. And you got to figure out a place for them. And I'm not talking about shunting them around. I'm talking about some place where they can feel like they really are a blessing. So, you go to Larry, you give him the end product first. So he's excited about his future. So he discovers somebody, and the first step is what? I do it and you watch. So for the first 2 months, so let's just say he discovers me. Sam is going to run the sound system. So the first 2 months, what am I doing? Watching. And who's doing the work? Larry explaining to me. I'm watching him. I'm asking questions. That's going on for the first 2 months. The next 2 months, we are doing what? Together. The next 2 months, I do it and Larry watches. He's my supervisor. And after that, that's 6 months, right? After that, Larry goes on to the men's ministry. And then you say to me, you got to do the same thing in a couple years. Are you following me? So once that becomes the culture of the ministry, that you are never going to spend the rest of... Can I tell you why people don't volunteer to work in the church? It's a death sentence. There are only two ways. Well, there are 3 ways. Only 3 ways you're going to get out of the death sentence. Number 1 is to leave. My season is over, right? You all remember that, okay. Number 2 is to sin really bad. I'm not talking about just sin. Because we need you so bad we look over a lot of sins. We want your sin really bad. Don't just sin. If you're going to sin, sin with a capital S. Otherwise, if you just told a little lie, you just kind of slept with somebody else, who's not, we kind of, let's pray about this, okay. Because I need Larry so bad that just him little fooling around here and there, and we'll work it out. We'll work it out. So you gotta sin really bad. I'm talking about bad. Okay? So you can either leave the church, sin, or die. Thank you. Or die. Even then somebody might be calling on you. And that is why people don't volunteer to work in a church, is because the death sentence. They see people around them. Once they raise their hand, it's done, it's over. It's said, you're trapped. So when you go to a job, do you want to just stay at the same position? No. And so when people come to church, they've got to have a pathway. They've got to have a place to go to. They've got to have some place of growth. What good is it if you grow me and still leave me there? There's nothing wrong with starting off as a short order cook in Waffle House. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But if I become a good chef and I'm still cooking at Waffle House, are you following me? So what we do in churches, we have got a lot of frustrated people. Some of you are sitting in this room right now. That's frustrated the heck out of your life. I was going to use the other word, but I realized where I am. So, you're just totally frustrated because you have grown, you have matured, you have knowledge, you have skills, you have wisdom, you have relationships, you know you can do that. You look at a ministry and say, if they could just let me have her for 3 months, I could turn it around. She's killing it. But you got nowhere to go because you can't say nothing. You have no upward mobility. You don't have any horizontal mobility. You're just stuck. And that is why I'd like for you to think about how do we change the culture of where we are at so that people have somewhere to go. They have something to do. They never feel like they are stuck. When I was pastor of a church up in Michigan, every November, everybody who worked at a church had an opportunity to re-up. So we'd have a meeting of all the workers in the church. And in November, we did the first week of November, and I'll tell you why Purposeful Book of November. I'm talking about discovering and developing. So all this is hopefully, you take it, however, put in your blender and smoke it. So, yeah, smoke some good stuff you're going to smoke. So, don't be buying no cheap stuff. So, every November, first part of November, all the people who worked in the church, in the children's department, youth, whatever, we said to them, you worked great. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. You don't have to do it next year. So we passed out, re-up pieces of paper. If people want to re-up, good. If not, we thank them so profusely and said, anytime you want to come back, you're welcome to come back. Maybe take a couple days, couple years off. Come back after that. So no one ever felt like, I'm stuck. We had Sunday school in those days. A lot of churches don't have anymore. But in those days we had Sunday. We talk about 1980, 81, somewhere in there, in my previous life. Every class had 2 teachers. And we're not talking about substitute teacher, 2 teachers. And among them, they could work it out. 1 month on, 1 month off, if they wanted to. 6 months on, 6 months off. 2 months on, 2 months off. However they want to work it out, it's up to them. And that way they had flexibility. If they wanted to take vacation, if they want to do something, they just work it out among themselves. They didn't need to go to somebody else to figure it out, didn't have to get permission from anybody else. They just worked it out among themselves. We cut out a whole bureaucratic piece of somebody saying no. What do you know? So my mind were somewhere. Did you see self-control? Did you all see self-control? How I went there in my mind and brought myself back. Just like that. By now you know I'm barely saved, okay? So so people can re-up. You never want people to feel trapped in ministry. You came in joyfully. When your joy becomes a job, when your why becomes a B, when your joy becomes a job, you're in trouble. Yes. See, if you love what you do, you will never work another day in your life. This is what I do. Bishop Walter Scott Thomas, I don't know if you know him, a new psalmist, Baltimore. We were talking this morning on the phone, and he said, so how are you doing? And he said, I'm recovering. He said, you're always recovering. Because I used to get tired, now I just stay tired. So people say, well, why do you keep doing? Because this brings me joy. What I'm doing right now is not work. I'm just standing up here and I've learned a few things in life and I'm just talking about it. I'm not trying to get your money. I'm not trying for you to join my organization. I'm not trying to start a new mailing list. I'm not trying to do, there's no envelopes coming your way and there's no love offering. There's barely any love, forget offering. So yeah, it's when you understand that when people have a pathway, now you can do the 4 steps with them. You cannot do the 4 steps with people if they don't have somewhere to go. So let me see if you know the 3-point job description. Don't look at your notes now. 3-point job description of everybody in your church. The 3-point job description, they all start, I'll give you a hint, they all start with the letter D, okay? I know some of you are saying there were 3 there and 4 there, and now was the 3, the 4, the 4, the 3. So I know some of you are easily confused. So here we go. The 3 things that everyone has to do is what? And 4 steps that Jesus taught us that you can use to do anything on your jobs. You can do this in your church. You can do this anywhere. The first step is? Step number 2 is? Step number 3 is? Step number 4? I'm out of here. Got it? So, let that be worth your whatever money you paid to be here. Did you all have to pay to come? You did. I'm sorry. Because you're sitting there saying, did I pay for this guy to be talking? I could have got this free. So I'm going to spend the rest of my time. It is 11:20 right now. This class is over in 12:15? Okay. So let's go do that. So as we're talking about discovering and developing leaders, I want to talk to you about some of the challenges that you're going to face as you're developing leaders. So let me give you a word to write down. Alignment. 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 A-L-I-G. Put a G in there. G has nothing, no business being in there. But this is the English language, okay? So A-L-I-G. What comes after that? M? Okay, M. I'm just a foreigner. What do I know? You all are the Americans. So. I'm just an Indian trying to make my living, Work at gas stations, Dunkin' Donuts. Dairy Queen. I'm just trying to make a living. You all are the Americans, so I heard Americans are rich. Is that true? That's what I heard. When I'm pumping your gas, that's what I hear. So let's talk. Let's talk about alignment. Alignment. Have you ever driven a car that was out of alignment? Okay. So picture for a moment that you are driving a car and the right wheel is out of alignment. And you drive. So as you are driving the car, so you're inside the car. As you're driving the car, how do you know it is out of alignment? It's pulling. It leans that way. Feel it. Shakes. Vibration. Okay. So that's good. That's when you're on the inside of the car. You walk on around and you look on the right wheel. And how can you tell looking at it now that it is out of alignment? Okay, very good. So you can tell from the inside, and you can also tell from the outside that it is out of alignment. So if you do not take your car in for an alignment, what's going to eventually happen to that car? Tire will wear out, then what will happen? You have a blowout, right? And if you are on the highways of Atlanta, we don't do anything less than 80 miles an hour. That's where we start. So if you have a blowout on the highway, what could happen? Accident, and something else could happen. Fatality. So if you don't align your car, something bad is about to happen, right? So when you are in your business, when you are on your jobs, when you're in your church, do you know who is out of alignment? You can feel them, and you can also see them. And if you leave that misaligned person, what could eventually happen to your board, committee, elder, job? You'd have a what? Blowout. And that could hurt a lot of people. So when my car is out of alignment, I take it into the shop. And they put my car on an elevator and they jack it up. There's some folk in your church who need to be people coming to your mind right now, aren't there? Because some folk just need to be jacked up. Now work with me a little bit on this. How many wheels are there on your car? 4. Very good. So out of the 4 wheels, if one wheel is out of alignment, 25% is out of alignment, right? Okay. Now I'm about to ask a technical question to which I do not have an answer. But somebody who knows more about cars can give me an answer. When a wheel is out of alignment, about how many parts are messing up? 10 parts, 15 parts, like bushings and nuts and bolts and yeah, about how many? If it's out of alignment, if my right wheel is out of alignment, about how many parts are up? Can we say, if I say 100, would that be okay? Too many? 50? 50? Let's say 50. Let's just make it a 50. Let's just make it a 50. I'm just trying to go somewhere with this. And how many parts would you guess are in the entire car? So let's say 1,000. I know there are thousands. Let's take the S off and let's say there are 1,000. So there are 1,000 cars, every nut, bolt, everything, you know. So there are 1,000 parts, and there are about 50 that are controlling, and 50 is on the high side. 50 are controlling this. So what percentage is that? Okay, that many, huh? Yeah. Okay, let's say 1,000, 100 will be what? 10%, so 50 will be 5%. That's how I work my math. Work it backward, okay? Yeah, that's why some of you have problems with tithing. You can't figure out what 10% means. All right. So my radiator is working. My air conditioner is working. My radio is working. My steering wheel is working. My seats are working. My rear view is working. All the mirrors are working. My windshield is working. My rear, everything is working except for that right front tire. That's out of alignment. They're fighting in there, I can tell you that. That sounds like a good church fight there. I've been in a few, I know what I'm talking about. So yeah. Oh, they already are jacked up. The point is, it doesn't take a whole lot to throw a whole organization out of alignment. So you were having a good meeting till she walked in. And then you have to fight to keep the meeting on track. Because the meeting keeps getting pulled. You thought you were just going to have a good meeting, but you're feeling the shimming going on.
Stop, man, stop. You're getting too much.
I still got time to go. Got 45 minutes to kill. I'm like a preacher. I said everything I need to say in 10 minutes. But I've still got 45 minutes to finish. So. and that is why the preacher says, and in conclusion. You know, it doesn't mean a thing. That's his first lie. When said in conclusion, that is his second lie. It's like I'm circling the airport. I'm going to land this somewhere or the other. Because the organist is not there yet. When he comes back. So. So when someone is out of alignment, you can feel it, you can see it, and you know if you leave that misaligned person there, you're headed toward trouble. So when you're developing people, you got to work on alignment issues. So here are the 3 things you have to align. Vision plus resources plus people equals success. Okay? Vision plus resources plus, I'm going to explain each one of them to you in a minute, plus people equals what? Success. One more time. Vision plus equals success. Okay, so if I was to say to you, okay, look up, let me give you an instant test right now. We call this pop quiz. How many of you just hated pop quizzes? You walk into class and, we're going to have a pop quiz. I'm going to pop you. Okay. All right. So if someone's to ask you, what is the recipe for success? You need 3 ingredients to have success. Now, please understand. As much as I'm making fun of this, I'm assuming God is in this. I'm assuming, anointing is here. I'm assuming all those things. Some people, the religious spirit, I don't want you to check out on me. All right. So, if somebody's to ask you, so what's the recipe for success? You would say, I need 3 ingredients for it. Number 1 is what? Peace. Number 2 is? Peace. Number 3 is? Peace. Let's talk about that. Vision. Now, you can Google vision, you can read books on vision, and people get it complicated. How many of you know Dr. Mark Sharona? I was doing a conference with him in Florida last month. And so he was introducing me. It was just him and me, and he was introducing me. He said, my gift is to take the simple and make it complex. Dr. Chan's gift is to take the complex and make it simple. Okay, so that's my gift. So what is vision? Vision is simply knowing where you're going. That's all. That's all vision is. Knowing where you're going. So I left my house in McDonough, Georgia, which is just about 25 minutes from here. My vision was to come here. I knew where I was going. My vision was to teach you what I'm teaching you. I haven't got to my notes yet, but I'll get to it eventually. Maybe, could be. It's all possible. But I knew I wanted to talk about discovering and developing. So that was my objective. So I'm not tied to what I have back behind me. I'm tied to saying, okay, this is where we're going. I'm going to cast this wave. I'm going to surf the wave. And I'm going to take people in that direction. So I have a visual imagery of what I want people to get out of this class. So you got to be knowing where you're going. That's all. That's all vision is. Okay? Now there are more complicated ways to say the same thing. But when Habakkuk 2 says, think it, ink it, write it, make it plain, so that he who reads it will do what? Run with it. So you got to know where you're going. You're not just going to be running crazy. You're going to be running in a certain direction. There are a whole lot of folk who are just running in circles, back and forth. But you got to be running in a direction. So vision is simply where are we going. So how do we measure vision? Every vision has to be measurable. If it's not measurable, it is just wishful thinking. That would be the difference between vision and wishful thinking. A lot of people have wishful thinking, but they think is vision. It's got to be measurable. So if your vision is to grow your business, I want you to put some numbers on it. Today is what? July 20th? What is that today? 20th, okay. So today is July 20th, and if you're selling cars, and your vision is, if you say, my vision is to sell more cars, is that a vision or wishful thinking? Okay, so somebody take that and turn it into a vision statement. My vision is to sell 100 cars, 50 cars, 300 cars, 2 cars. You got to have a number, because if you don't have a number, you will never know if you've got to your vision. So someone says, we want to grow our church. Is that a vision or is that a wishful thinking? Wishful thinking. So, let's just say, how many people at your church?
No, 7,500.
7,500? 7,500. Very good church. So, 7,500 people. If you're to grow the church, instead of saying we're going to grow the church, we want to say by December, okay, by December. So now I've added another little piece to it. Now I put what to it? A time to it. So by December, I'm going to give you a sentence in a minute to write down. By December, we want to grow from our present 7,500 to 8,000. So, as soon as I say that sentence, what is going on in your head? What's the question in your head? I'm going to say the sentence again, and you tell me what's the question in your head. The statement is, by December, we want to grow our church from 7,500 to 8,000. Exactly how are we going to do it? That takes me to the second ingredient of the recipe, which is what? Resources. How are we going to do it? So, now resources are facilities, resources are programs, resources are curriculum, resources are money, resources are time. How many of you know? Everybody woke up this morning, be it Bill Gates, Donald Trump, or us. We all woke up with the same amount in our bank. Same amount. Same amount, 24 hours. How are they going to use their 24 hours? Man, how are you going to use your 24 hours? It's up to you. Same amount. They don't get any, doesn't matter who they are, they don't get any more time than you do. It just, they do more with their time. So, resources. So what all do we need for resources? So all of a sudden, the question is not that we're going to grow. So here's the sentence to write down. Who does what by when? 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 I want to brand this sentence on your brain. Because, dearly beloved, if you're having a meeting and you do not answer this sentence, I can assure you it's not going to happen. Maybe I need to say it another way, a better way. It ain't going to happen. So the sentence is what? Who does what by when? So who is about the person? What is about the assignment? When is about the dead? See, never say to somebody, get back with me ASAP. So what does ASAP stand for? How many of you know nobody gets back with you ASAP? How many of you would agree that your as soon as possible is sooner than their possible? How many of you know that? Okay, walk with me, walk with me, walk with me. Because see, in church, we talk in innuendos. We never tell, we say, okay, I'll get back with you. No! Tell me now. Church folk are crazy. I mean, you ask them, so when's our next meeting? I'll let you know. You know it now. Just tell me Tuesday 7 o'clock. But no, I know something and house. Never mind. I brought myself back. The spirit is subject to the, I ain't a prophet, nothing like that. So I told you I'm barely saved. Prophet has to do all those good things. Yeah. Okay, you come for an interview with me. You come for an, I'm going to hire you, or I'm HR. And what's your name, ma'am? Antonia. Okay, I said to Antonia, 3 options. Antonia, I'll get back with you next week. Antonia, I'll get back with you next Wednesday. Antonia, I'll get back with you next Wednesday at 10 o'clock. Which one do you prefer? So, is that how we all want to be treated, right? So why do we not do that for everybody else? Who does what by when? You tell me when, and now I have a deadline. Don't say to me, hey, listen, pray about it and let me know what the Lord says to you. No. Pray about it, let me know next Wednesday by 10 o'clock. If the Lord ain't said nothing to you but next Wednesday, He ain't going to talk to you. Just take that as a hint. He ain't saying nothing back. Are you following me? So, pedal back with me. So the recipe for success has 3 ingredients. One is vision, and vision, you got to be knowing where you're going. Okay? The second ingredient is, and that is everything that it takes to make it happen. So for example, at this conference, they invited the Right Reverend Bishop Dr. Mack to be with us. The one who's, I want to tell you, whoever your tailor is, doing you well. So resources, like yesterday, all the people who served us wore orange. Today they're wearing white. Yes. And those are part of resources. This gentleman who's running the camera in the back, what's your name?
Richard.
Richard? Richard is a resource. His equipment is a resource. This room is a resource. The air conditioner resource. Are you following me? So you just can't just say we're going to grow our church from 7,500 to 8,000 unless you have thought about all the resources. We call that strategic planning. I don't have time to talk about that, but that's in one of my books that I'm going to talk about. I have a whole chapter on that. The third component of that recipe is what? People. Now, I did not list people under resources because I want to put them as a separate category, and reflecting back on yesterday, I would call them my ladder. You are amazing. They are my ladder holders. They are my people. Because if I can get the ladder holders right, I can climb up the ladder. Listen, your problem is not your facilities. Your problem is people.
Yes.
You know, someone said if ministry would be wonderful if it wasn't for the people. So people are a resource. So you have to develop people in a different way than you would develop. Because see, the ceiling tile might fall down, but it ain't going to talk back to you. Are you with me on that? I mean, people have to be handled with great finesse, great care. We are stewards of people. So whenever somebody is leading people, when you get to heaven, you won't just give account for yourself. If you're a choir director, you're going to give account for all the people in the choir, not just how they sang, because that's the least of your responsibilities. If you're a choir director, you pastor those people. If somebody's in the hospital, you go visit them. If somebody's having trouble, you help them. They are your congregation. And so people have to be handled in a manner different from resources. So that is what success is. If you can get I'm talking about alignment now. So if I can get vision, resources and people aligned, I'm going to be what? Successful. Some of you have vision and resources but don't have people. Some of you have vision and people and have no resources. Some of you have resources and people but have no vision. If I had time, I would try to couple all of them together and say if you had this and this, you would have this. But all I'm saying to you is, so whatever vision God gives you at a departmental level, at your job, at a larger level, at an organization level, here are the 3 questions you got to ask yourself. What is my vision? How is it measurable? How will we know we got there? Will we, when we, so I'll go into Brazil on Tuesday. I will know I'm in Brazil when I land in Sao Paulo. It's measurable. I can see it, I can smell it, I can feel it. There'll be people there who will talk Portuguese. I will know I'm in another country. So you gotta work through those three. So as soon as you get a vision of something, God say, how do I know I'm going to get there? And what are the resources I need? And you cannot get all the resources at the same time. So how do I start gathering the resources? And who are the people? Who's the first ladder holder that I need? So in Luke chapter 5, I thought I mentioned some Bible. Does anyone have Bible here?
Yes.
Can I borrow somebody's Bible? Okay. Man. Did you see the dust come out? Enough dust to make 2 men. All right. Man, I wasn't planning on going here at all, but I need to go there. On the people piece. When you are gathering people, how many of you want to be successful? Okay, can I tell you something? You can be successful with a fuzzy vision. How many of you know some people who just stumbled into success? But still stumbled into it. And they're doing quite well, thank you. They get a vision after they get there. Okay? It's like this guy had in a barn, and there's a bullseye painted on the barn, circles, and there were arrows that were right in the middle of bullseye. So his friend came to visit him, and he said, "Man, you must have great aim." He said, "No, I just put the arrow in there and then drew the circles around it." So some people get there just by accident. So you can be, what I want to hear is, you cannot get there without people.
Yes, yes, yes.
Because if you can do it yourself, it's not big enough vision.
Yes.
Even Jesus said, I'm going to be out of here pretty soon. And I need some people who will do this. So when Jesus started going to get people, he got people on purpose. Okay, I want you to get this now. They had specific assignments on their life. In Luke chapter 5, where are we? Here we go, Luke chapter 5, verse 27. And after these things he went forth and saw a publican, not a Republican, just a publican. Yeah, this is that year in which you have to be careful. Named Levi, sitting at the receipt of customs, and he said unto him, "Follow me." And he left all, rose up, and followed him. Now, verse 27 is very interesting. It says, and after these things he went forth and saw, the word saw, a publican. So the word saw in the Greek is a word called theomai. Theomai, from which we call, ophthalmologist, the theomai. The theomai is not just he saw him, but he saw him for quite a while. Observed him with keen interest. So here is Jesus, and here is Matthew. Let's make you Matthew. And here is Matthew sitting in the market square. Now Matthew is a Jew who's collecting taxes from Jewish people, from his own people, for the occupiers who are the Romans. The way he made his money, Rome did not pay him anything. What Rome said to him is, you collect our taxes. Wherever you can get above and beyond that, that's yours. So when we Jewish people came to our Jewish brother, he did not see us as Jews. He gouged us. So Jesus sees that's why they were hated. Because they were one of us, and yet they were gouging us for the enemy. And they were rich. So So Jesus is watching Matthew, Levi, and the Bible says watch him for a long time. Observed him with keen interest. In fact, some Greek words say observed him with desire. Theomai. He theomaied him. And he noticed something about Matthew. And he said to himself, you know, he's doing a very bad thing, but he's doing it excellently. He's keeping 2 sets of books. One for the Roman government and one for himself. He is a great accountant. I need an accountant. So why did Jesus need an accountant? Let me tell you about that. The reason Jesus knew an accountant is something that Matthew did not know. What Matthew did not know is when the New Testament would be written, the first book of the New Testament is going to be what? Matthew. And it was going to be written to the Jewish community. To the Jewish community, the only thing important to the Jewish community is who your daddy. The only thing important to them is who your daddy, who your granddaddy. We want to know your genealogy. Now he knew that good old Peter, as good as he was, he didn't know nothing about genealogy. He was not an accountant. So the reason Jesus had a vision. Vision was, I want to reach my Jewish community. So his question was, who can do that for me? He looked at the other 11 boys. They weren't going to be able to do it. So he picks up Matthew. The reason Jesus chose Matthew is to write the first 17 verses of Matthew chapter 1 that none of us ever read. Matthew chapter 1 verse 1. I want you to notice how Matthew just puts the marker on the table and then builds from there. The book of the generations of Jesus Christ. So you want to know who his generations are? Here it is. The next 5 words say it all. The son of David, the son of Abraham. David was the most beloved king, royalty. Son of Abraham, the revered father of the faith, the religious. Royalty and religious. He said, if you want to know something about this Jesus Christ, let me tell you right now where he came from. Who his daddy? His daddy be David, and his daddy be Abraham. And then he breaks it down. Abraham begat Isaac, and Isaac begat Jacob, and Jacob begat Judas and his brethren. And Judas began so-and-so, 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 so-and-so. And he goes all the way down into verse 15. And Eliud begat Eliezer, and Eliezer begat Matan, and Matan begat Jacob, and Jacob begat Joseph, the husband of Mary, of whom was born Jesus, who is called Christ. Did not call him Jesus, here he calls him verse 1 he says Jesus Christ, because Jesus is his name, Christos, the Messiah, the promised one.
Talk about it.
So when Jesus had a vision, he didn't just get ladder holders. He got ladder holders who had a specific purpose in their life. Let me tell you 2-3 other stories. Is that okay to do? Some of you like the Bible stuff, so I think I'm going to throw some Bible in here. I wasn't planning on talking from the Bible, but since it's an important book, I'm told. Yeah. People who have a religious spirit have a real problem with me. It's like, when is he going to talk from the Bible? When is he going to talk from the Bible? And I know who they are, so I just irritate them even more. So. All right, here we go. So in Luke chapter 5, Jesus is about to call Peter, James, and John. Now he's been fishing all night, they haven't caught anything. Who knows, Jesus and his daddy Joseph might have built the boat in which they were fishing. Because how many fisher people don't build their own boats? So who knows, this might be. But Jesus somehow seems to know them and is having conversation with them. So they've caught a bunch of fishes and so on and so forth. Verse 7. And they beckoned unto their partners, which were in the other ship, and they should come and help them. And they came and filled both the ships, and they began to sink. Verse 8. And Simon saw it and fell down on Jesus' knees, saying, Depart from me, for I am sinful man, O Lord. And he was astonished, and all that were with him, at the draught of the fish that were taken. I want you to get verse 10. Here's the marker. And so was also James and John, the sons of Zebedee. Here are the next 4 words. Who were partners with Simon. So Jesus, when he went fishing here, he didn't catch one at a time. He caught 3 of them at the same time.
That's right.
So when we talk about the inner circle of Jesus, who are they in the inner circle of Jesus? Peter, James, and John. They were, before they met Jesus, and before Jesus called them, they were already what? Partners. So sometimes you'll catch Matthew, 1. Sometimes you'll just catch a bunch of friends. And then don't try to break them up. People complain about cliques. The only people who complain about cliques are people who can break into that clique. Yeah, we all have cliques. When Labor Day is coming around, when you're going to have a barbecue at your house, you're not going to stand up and say, you all come. You're going to invite the same people, right? We all got cliques. So don't be, click here, click there, click everywhere. Jesus didn't try to break up the clique. Guess what he did? He kept them together and he elevated them. Now the rest of the disciples had to be talking about them. Because everywhere Jesus went to do something special, guess who he took? Peter, James, and John. Went up the mountain to meet with Moses and Elijah.
Yes, sir.
He didn't say, you all come. In fact, he left the 9 in the valley. And while they were up there, guess what's going on in the valley? They're dealing with a demon-possessed boy and can't even cast out the devil. Jesus gave them a devil bigger than them. And then he comes down the mountain and rebukes them. So Peter comes down the mountain. Peter can't keep his face shut. So he comes down the mountain and says, oh, you got to be there. You should have been there. You should have been there. Moses and Elijah, they don't look like anything like the Facebook pictures. They say, yeah, we would have been up there if we had been invited. They go to Jairus' daughter's house. She's 12 years old, she's dead, right? So Jesus takes who with him inside the room? Peter, James, and John. Peter comes down and says, ooh, the hair on the back of my neck is still standing up. You should have seen her, she was dead. I'm talking about blue. Room temperature. And Jesus said to her, arise. And she sat right up, and I was almost messed in my Jewish robe. So yeah, would have been nice. We weren't invited. let's talk about Peter, James, and John. Why did Jesus call them and keep them together? All right. So James, we know, became one of the martyrs in the early church. That leaves Peter and John. Now, out of those three, whom did Jesus love the most? And how do we know that? Because John tells that about himself. So you really don't know whether to believe him. John, where are we? John chapter 21, John chapter 121. Okay. Verse 25. John chapter 25 says, and there are also, this is John writing at the end of the John's Gospel, and there are also many other things which Jesus did, the which, if they should be written, everyone, I suppose that even the world itself could not contain the books that should be written. He's saying if everything that Jesus said and did could be recorded, there wouldn't be enough books to, but sure enough found enough room to put himself in there. The disciple whom Jesus loved. I mean, you know, it's like you're talking about yourself. Like I'm the favorite one. Well, I'd like to get the other 11 to let me know. I want to picture, fast forward, Jesus hanging on the cross. Jesus hanging on the cross. And as he's hanging on the cross, all the disciples have fled. There's one disciple left at the foot of the cross. His name is what? John. And next to John is a woman. Her name is Mary, the mother of Jesus. So while Jesus is hanging on the cross, he's the oldest boy in the family. So we know that Jesus had 5 brothers and 2 sisters. It's all in the Bible. The names of the brothers are there. The names of the sisters are not there. So, so he's got 7 siblings. By now, history tells us that Joseph, not his father but his daddy, is dead. So he's a much older man. So he's dead. So Jesus, being the Jewish oldest in the family, has to take care of business. So as the oldest son, he's having to take care of his mama to make sure that she's secured, that she's taken care of. Even though he's got 5 brothers and 2 sisters, it is his job as the oldest one of the 8 to make sure that she's taken care of. So he looks down at the foot of the cross and says to Mary, behold thy son. And says to John, behold thy mother. And ask John if he will take mama home. Church history records for us that John was the founding pastor of the church in Ephesus, the Ephesian church. And so he took Mary, the mother of Jesus, home with him. And she stayed there till she died. So John was chosen to take care of who? Mary. Mama. Now that leaves us with Peter, the troublemaker. Open mouth, insert foot. Jesus got so ticked off at him one day, he called him the devil. One day Jesus said to him, whenever you are saved, Jesus created a special rooster. Can I tell you why? Can I tell you why church folk eat so much chicken? We've been trying to kill that bird. So fast forward 50 days to the day of Pentecost.
Oh, that's right.
It tells us in Acts chapter 1 who all was in the room. Mary was in the room, John was in the room, James was in the room. It gives us names of most of the people. It says about 120. Doesn't say 120, about. It's just like our deacons counting how many in church. About 35 people. So, yeah, no one knows. It could be 38, could be 32. It looks like about 100. So that's what happened. It's all in your Bible. So in Acts chapter, 2 says there were about 120 in the upper room. They're all there. The Holy Spirit descends. Tongues of fire on their head. Things are happening. There's earthquake. There's winds. There's storm going on. They're speaking in tongues. People are hearing tongues in their own language and saying, what's happened to these people? And it was in the midst of all of that, Peter, his assignment comes up. And he stands up. And he starts by saying, you who crucified him, verse 38, repent, every one of you, in Jesus' name, and be baptized for the remission of your sins. Now, if it had been John, he would have got up there and said, beloved, let us love one another. In the spirit of the late apostle, bishop, missionary, Rodney King, John would have said, why can't we all just get along? But that was not the assignment on Peter's life, because Peter had never seen an altar call given. He did not know what it means to open the doors of the church. He didn't have no deacons be going up and down. He didn't have no B3 organ playing in the background. He didn't have no praise and worship kind of doing their thing. When he gave the altar call, thousands of people responded, because the assignment for John was to take care of Mama. The assignment for Matthew was to write the opening act of the New Testament. The assignment for John was to take Mama. James was to be martyred, and Peter to be the first. He was not the pastor, because James the lesser, the half-brother of Jesus, became the pastor. But he was to be the first preacher of the inaugural service of the church of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So we talk about success, right? We talk about people. We're talking about not just getting people, but getting people on purpose. Who brings what to the table? And that is how you do that. So, this is what we're going to do. I've got 3 things to do. One is I'm going to open it up for questions. Number 2, we're going to do 4 things. Or you can do that in 7 minutes. After this is lunch, right? Yeah, but I've got to let you out early. Because you know how church folk are. They get in line first and don't leave nothing for you. Okay, so I'm going to open up for questions. Let's do about 2-3 minutes of that. Number 2, then after that I'm going to do a review. Number 3, I want to give you a last piece of what it means to discover and develop. And then number 4, I'm going to sell you some books. Is that okay? Don't go quiet on me now. All right. Anybody got any questions so far? Yes, sir.
You may have hit it, but I mean the difference between development and...
Oh, thank you. No, I did not do that. Thank you. Thank you. The difference in development and training. Training is about a task. Development is about a person. I went close to it when I talked about it, but I did not go close enough. Training is about a job. Development is the person doing the job. Training, anybody can be trained. Development, not everybody can be developed. Okay, let me break it down this way. Do you know somebody, you give them a job to do, they get the job done, they get the job done on time, they get the job done under budget, but in the process of getting the job done, they run over people?
Yeah.
They destroy people? So that means that they are trained but not developed. So, okay, give you an example. In your church, if I was to come to your church, would you give me some kind of a bulletin, program, some brochure, something like that? Okay. I'm trained. Here's the church door, glass door, parking lot. I'm trained greeter. And I'm standing there, I got bulletins in my hand. Let's call it bulletins, okay? I got bulletins in my hand. I'm trained. Everyone okay with that? I'm trained. So I look outside the door and I see this woman who's coming across the parking lot, and she has got a 2-year-old toddler who seems to be running away. And in this hand she's got a baby basket with a baby. And she's struggling to make it inside the door. Here's the door. I'm trained. My training said you stand here. You give people the bulletin when they come in, the program when they come in. I'm trained. So somehow she manages to open the door. Falls in. But I got to give her a bulletin. So this hand is occupied with the toddler. This hand's got a baby basket with a baby in it. I look, the only place I can put a bulletin is on the baby. Because I'm trained. I have to do what I have been trained to do. Scene 2, I'm developed. Glass door, parking lot, bulletin. I see a woman coming, looks like she got a 2-year-old toddler who's running away from her. In this hand she got a baby basket of baby. I see her coming, I see her dilemma. I put my bulletins down. I open the door. I meet her in the parking lot. I say, ma'am, can I help you in? I keep the door open. I bring her in. I say, ma'am, I don't know if you've ever been to our church before or not, but we have a wonderful nursery where your baby will be well taken care of. And your son, he will love our children's church. We've got some great things in store for him. Could I take you there and show you, introduce you to the people? Because I'm developed. My focus is not on the task. My focus is on the person. So, last illustration. And then I want to review and then so on and so forth. Okay, last illustration. Think of an umbrella. Anybody got an umbrella in this room? Umbrella. You got one? Yeah. Oh, you are so good. Thank you. A nice blue umbrella. Okay. I know they say it's bad luck to do it inside. All right. If these spokes, you see these spokes here? These spokes are the training. This cloth, parasol, plastic, whatever it is a development. If it is raining out there, and you open the umbrella, and there is no development, only training, what's going to happen to you? You're going to get wet, right? We are good about training. But we have some of the meanest people are in church. Well trained, but mean. Nasty. So I'm here to suggest to you that while there is a difference, you've got to make sure that people are trained as well as... Now this is what I want you to get. You got to develop people first. And then you do what? Train them. You develop people first and then you train them, because you can't get a steak from a bad cow. So I'm trying to make the cow good so I can get a good steak. Everyone good? All right, let me tell you about, yesterday I had 3 books that I brought Futuring Leading a Church into Tomorrow, available. How many of you were not with me yesterday? All right, so this is about where the church is going. None of us are really that interested in it, just where it's been. It's good, but that's not going to get ahead. Futuring is about where the church is going. Yesterday I taught on this lesson called Who's Holding Your Ladder? So let me give a test here. Test for those who are with me. Proper people placement prevents problems. So if you get the right people in the right place, it all works out. Ladder Shifts is a book about what's changing in your own life. Because if you know what's going on in your life, you can deal with other people in a better way. Today, those are available there as well. Today I brought 3 more books. I've written 11 books, so I brought 3 more books. It's called Ladder Focus. Ladder Focus has been written in response to questions I got everywhere. Say, okay, if we have conflict, how do we deal with conflict? If we are going to cast vision, there's a whole chapter in here on what is vision, how to cast vision, and how to make it a reality, how to measure it. So this is a manual on leadership called Ladder Focus, which will help you. It's stuff that churches use to buy and train their people, develop their people. So this is the focus on this is on that. Who moved your ladder? Can I ask you a question? Have you ever heard the Lord ask you to do something but didn't tell you how to do it? When to do it? Where to do it? He says go. You say, what do you mean go? Just go. I remember when I was president of Beulah Heights University here in Atlanta, I heard the Lord say to me, resign your job. I said, get thee behind me. How many of you know no job, no check? The message of the entire book is in these 4 words. These 4 words give you the message of the entire book. It is called Your Next Bold Move. Some of you are in transition. You don't know whether to quit your job, start a business. You don't know whether to do this or do that, and you find yourself in between A and B. Your next bold move is awaiting you. I wrote this book just for people who are wondering, what do I do next? And this is a leadership curriculum. It's called What's Shaking Your Ladder. 15 challenges all leaders face. 15 challenges all leaders. I don't care who you are. You might be working out of a basement. You might be working out of the 15-story penthouse. It doesn't matter who you are. You might be a mega church pastor or a church that is just starting. In here I talk about the 15 challenges. I don't care who you are, you will face. So how would it be like if you were born with a manual that would keep you from making mistakes? This is it. This is it. So in this book, I talk about how to get focus, keep your focus, how to cast vision, how communication, how to make decisions, how to choose your team, a whole chapter on leadership development, a whole chapter on change and transition, a whole chapter on conflict, a whole chapter on strategic planning, a whole chapter on time allocation, a whole chapter on delegation and control. These are things that I don't care who you are, you will face. And after this, Rachel, is your card machine working today? Okay, we had bad connectivity yesterday, but now everything is up and going. We'll be happy to take your money there. Before you leave, let's review. Ready? You knew this was coming. Okay, ready? Ready? All right. And by the way, I need for some of you to buy some books. How many of you saved? Saved. Thank you. So all of you are going to buy books then. Here we go. So there are 3 things that are job description for everybody in church. They discover, develop. Jesus gave us a 4-point step process in which he said, number 2, number 3, and number 4, I'm out of here. The recipe for success, 3 words, and people. And out of those, the most important is people. And when, last question, I know some of you are nervous about this. The last question is, when you are choosing your ladder holders, you want to choose them on purpose. So they will have a specific assignment on their life. Let me pray with you. Father, I thank you, my sisters and brothers. We've had a good time today. Yes. We've had a good time. And now, Lord, I pray that it is not what I have taught, but what has been learned. And even more than that, what will be applied. And I pray a special blessing on those who are going to buy my books.